Hi, good evening, everyone. Um, I hope I'm audible. Hi, Jada. Yes, that's what I want. That one. All right. Let's get right into it. I hope everything is okay. Um, so, so what I want to do today is basically talk more about exits. Quickly do a breadth and market review, and then we'll move to exits. I'll talk about the two systems which generally people traders use for exits. Um, and what else? What else I had? Yeah, mostly exits, and then I will show examples from my own trades, everything which I'm holding and which I sold, and which I am holding and where I intend to sell them, and I will also then take question and answers. The idea is to the idea is basically to drill home the point that you just can't do without having an exit system. Okay, there is going to come a fine day in this bull market when everything is going to fall like crazy. All right. You will probably be holding 10 to 15 stocks anywhere on an average, um, m- and your profits will evaporate like crazy. At that point of time, if you do not have an exit strategy, you will lose your mind. Mark my words, that day will come. And I just want everyone to have a strategy. Okay, it doesn't have to be a huge khatarnak strategy, but like have a plan, right? So waiting for a couple of more people to join, and then we'll start. So that's the whole agenda of today's meeting. I will start with chatting up a little bit about the market. So see, market right now, the way to think about market is this. Whenever you see a chart or a market or anything, you ask one question. Uh, So, you ask a question, and that question is basically, hey, what is the market doing right now? And the answer to that would be one of these two things. The market is either trending, sometimes it trends up, trends down, or the market is basing. Okay, कोई सा भी चार्ट खोल के देख लो, ये दो काम ही करेंगे. Okay, your job is to be on a trending market, and get out if it is not trending. If you are a swing trader, if you are a positional trader, you can still hold when it is basing, because in a bull market, the the bias is that it will again start trending at some point of time, right? So that's the difference between swing and positional trader, right? So for Nifty 50, which is basically our index right now, what are we doing? We are basing, right? So whenever you say basing, there are two levels to watch out for, and that level is marked by this ascending, this is flat base, this is the upper level, and this is the lower level. तो इसके बीच में घूम रहा है बहुत टाइम से, लास्ट दिसंबर से. Sorry, I I I couldn't, I didn't share it. Thanks, Venkat. All right. Okay, I hope now it's visible. So, what I was saying is that at any point of time, the answer to the question, what is the market doing, or what is the chart doing, what is the stock doing, is basically one of these two. The market is either trending or basing. Right now, we seem to be basing, and that base started off somewhere here, right? Or so we can also say here. So, as long as the market is inside this base, positional traders, they don't have to fret. Swing traders don't have much to do in this phase, hoping that almost 60 to 70% also is in line with what the broader market is doing. Um, so So then the Nifty 500 index is also sort of like it's still trending up. You can see we are trending up money. It's making higher highs and higher lows. Um, uh, and sort of this was the on a smaller time frame, that was the pivot low, which it seemed to क्या बोलते हैं उसको, चक करके छू के निकल गया, right? So this was the point today. There was a some time that it breached downwards and then it again went up. So trend changes happens like that if it has to happen. The higher high higher low structure first breaks with a lower either with a lower high or a lower low, right? So does this now become in a downtrend? We don't know. We have to wait for the confirmation. But today's candle looks good because it has a long tail, meaning that at this point 1970 19730 पे demand आया and it pushed the price back. Now what I'll do is I'll show you a couple of other days when this happened, right? So this happened on this day, and the second day we had a bounce which culminated into a longer one. We also had something like this here, okay? So now if you go back to one of the breadth indicators, which is basically the net 4% up down indicator, all of those days we had like a chuk negative breadth. So what is this plot? This plot basically plots ki what percentage of stocks had a 4% up, what percentage of stocks in the whole universe had a minus 4% day, and then it basically subtracts for plus 4% minus 4% and then plots it as a percentage. So generally, when bearish trend develops, this net 4% decline, advanced decline number is negative, right? And whenever that's a bullish period में ये positive होता है, okay? So you see on these days, December 28, January 23rd, and today. So let's go back to the December, and I think January 23rd and today. These three candles have a similar sort of a breadth characteristics, okay, which is basically chuk karke extreme negative, and the negative the negative the bearishness intensity is also actually decreased. So minus 40 आया था इधर, minus 21, और आज minus 19 तक. Now doesn't matter if this doesn't it ऐसा नहीं होता है कि just because on like this kind of a pattern appeared and then we reverse, doesn't matter कि this time also we will reverse, but there is a chance that this thing might again sort of repeat, okay? And overall it we are still not bearish yet, okay? But what we are seeing is there is a negative divergence in price and breadth. Now what I mean by that is, generally when price is making higher highs, then the indicator is also sort of goes into a similar direction. It also makes higher highs. When we are at a extreme breadth conditions, what happens is that price sort of makes higher highs, but the indicator starts to make, or the breadth indicator, or any indicator which you use, starts to make lower low. So couple of those things which are happening in here is let's say the RSI distribution indicator, right? So December top, January top, and the Abhiwala top, so they are all making lower highs, whereas on indices we are making higher highs. So there's a clear divergence happening here. So this is how the breadth indicator looks like. So this divergence will at some point of time क्या बोलते हैं उसको resolve. तो resolve कैसे होगा? Generally either our prices will fall, and now price is making also lower high and lower low, just like the indicator, and that's how resolution happens. Or this guy continues to make a higher high, or the price continues to make a higher high, and similarly our indicator also now starts to make a higher high, right? So one of these two happens. Generally क्या होता है, when things are overbought or at extreme bullishness, generally this happens, okay? But at the end of the bull market, this one happens. So abhi because of the time of the bull market, because I think we are already at like some medium term stage, if not the last stage, the probability in my opinion of this happening is better. But again, we can predict, we can anticipate, but we will only act when we see the breakdown, right? So because that's what distinguishes technical analysis from other kind of analysis and kind of trading. So that's what we do here. But just knowing that this thing is happening helps you to be better prepared, and that is why today I want to discuss exits with you. I'll not spend any more time looking at this. Basically, that's how the market is right now. Okay. So coming back to exits, all right. I have so much to talk about when I talk about exits, but just before that, let me give you a brief preview about a trading क्या बोलते हैं उसको trading system, right? So your trading system basically will have maximum 5 pillars, right? So the 5 pillars, for you to be a peak trader, all the 5 pillars has to be khatarnak, very strong, right? So imagine like you are going to a battle and you are wearing armor. So generally there are armor for a head, the chest, and like the arms, you know. If you have even one place in your body which is not protected, then the probability that you will get killed is very high, right? So the same thing also happens in trading and in market. You have to know how to assess how the market is, right? So अगर आप bearish condition या sideways condition में खतरनाक आप swing trading कर रहे हो तो you will probably not be so successful. So, and this is one of the easiest part to know when a bull market is going on, when a bear market is going on, right? The second pillar is of stock selection. Okay, so I mean, this is also very straightforward, right? So if you were holding things like very fast moving stocks, which are like right now PSUs, or you know the best stocks, right? As compared to stocks from, let's say, a large cap. Uh, HUL हो गया या the HDFC banks or the Paytms, you would not have made so much money. So stock selection is also another pillar, big pillar. Third one is your entry tactic. Now this is one of the most important thing for a trader. I cannot stress the fact that 99% of all trading problems arises because of a wrong entry. Okay, I just want you all to sort of see my face when I say this, because many of you miss this point, right? I'm telling you this: 99% of your trading problems will be solved if you make the correct entry, irrespective of the conditions, irrespective of anything, you know. So entry, that's a third pillar which defines your trading system, right? Now the fourth pillar is the position sizing, because like 100% gain in 1% position means 1% of izafa in portfolio size, right? And third one is risk management, like position management, let's say. And the last one, one of the most important again, is exit, right? So if you don't know exit, you will become an abhimanyu. Why? Because you will know how to enter, but you will not know how to exit. So we don't want to be abhimanyus. So this is what we are going to discuss today. 15 minutes gone in intro only, right? Now, mota mota in your system, in this fifth pillar, one of the most important pillar. When you design a system, you can take one or two ways of exiting, and depending upon who you are as a trader, if you're a swing trader, positional trader, long-term trader, yeah, you will do one of these two things. Sometimes you will do both. Okay, if you are very like, if you can mix and match a lot of things, if you have your processor is like octa core, then maybe you can do more than 2 or 3 things simultaneously. Now, selling into strength and selling into weakness, these are the two major ways when to think about exit. You can do this. Okay, so what's selling into strength? Selling into strength is basically to sell your stock or a part of your stock to de-risk your position when it is increasing, you know, when it is already at a point, like let's say, for example, I'll quickly add this guy. And whatever I'm going to show you today will all be my personal examples. Okay, so central bank yesterday, I sold at around, I have to check, but like I sold it around at the peak 73.4 or something like that. What was this? This was selling into strength. Now what selling into strength is means that you sell when the stock is still rising. You sell at a point where you think the stock is overextended in its swing. Okay, I'm going to repeat this again. What is selling into strength? Selling into strength is selling your stock when the stock is still rising, means selling when the stock is still strong, and at a point where you think that it is overextended and the swing is coming to an end. Okay, this kind of selling strategy is mostly suited to swing traders. ठीक है, तो swing traders क्या करते हैं? Swing trader basically catches one part of the swing, right? So for example, central bank, if you see, this was one swing. Like this was one swing. Probably this was a smaller swing. This was possibly a very large swing. You know, this was an even larger swing, the one which I caught here, right? Now what happens in general, on an average, one swing for a swing trader generally happens three days to 8 days, and that's the number I quote all the time, comes from stock B, but maybe it's different for our markets and indices. Okay, and the thing is, like, so for example, if I show you, so yesterday's selling, my selling yesterday was an anticipatory selling at the top while the stock was still strong, right? So the second thing is selling into weakness. Now what is selling into weakness? Selling into weakness is a selling strategy when you sell a stock when you see that the stock is now getting weaker, that uptrend you were riding is now coming to an end, and at that time you don't anticipate, you wait for a confirmation that this is coming to an end. Okay, so for example, and today is actually not a very good example. So IRFC got sold today because I actually had forgotten about this. When I sold 50% on this day, and after that, I think when on this day I had 50% of still left. Somewhere down the line, I had a GTT here, and it clipped me exactly. Uh, so, so selling into weakness is basically, let's say for example, um, IRIDA. Okay, so what happened? IRIDA, I sold some here. Okay, I sold some here, and 50% is still with me. Now IRIDA I sold only after seeing that, okay, the uptrend in this very strong counter was now completely changed into a weakness, right? So this sort style of selling is more suited to positional guys, right? And for example, Wari. So so for example, Wari somewhere I entered here, and I entered everything, and I didn't sell here because I don't know why I didn't sell, but it was still above the key moving averages, and possibly the uh, breadth of the market was also okay. And right now if this guy with high volumes uh, reverses, starts to make like a lower low and lower high, at that time I will sell, right? So for example, that would be selling into weakness. So for example, I some more examples would be, let's say IRCON, right? So IRCON, if sort of these levels are like this level and this level, right? So this is the first level where if it convincingly breaks down this, I know that IRCON after this huge rally is now sort of reversing, and it might take some more time before it actually starts. So I will now not be in this stock, right? So to sell a stock, once it starts the downtrend, or once it breaks uh, down from a base, is basically a strategy which is selling into weakness, more suited for positional traders. Okay, um, I'll give you some more examples of this. So for example, IRM energy, right? So IRM energy right now has a clear base. So ऊपर गया नीचे आया ऊपर गया नीचे आया. So for example, right now this point is the low of this nascent base. The so the probability that IRM energy sort of will break down is once it crosses 557, then there is a some probability that it might go down. Once it crosses this particular channel, then the probability that IRM energy is now going down becomes even higher, right? So one can sell like some percentage here, some percentage there, and both of this kind of selling would come under selling into weakness, right? One very nice example I'll show you is Titagar, T-I-T-A-G, T-I-T-A-G, Titagar Rail Systems. So for example, if you had sold on this day, this would be selling into weakness, because now what's happening is Titagar was in a very nice ascending channel. This ascending channel also looked to break out, but then weakness आया. Weakness ठीक है, यहाँ तक ठीक है, but on this day, this ascending channel sort of broke down and also took out the 50-day moving average. And also, if you see from in the March indicator, it clearly showed that acha, matlab, I'm not strong. I am not outperforming the market at this point. So if one had sold here, that would have been like a sell on weakness, and selling here or selling here on overextended bigger stronger day would have been selling in strength. Okay, so I want to just make it clear that these are two ways one could sell. The other systemic way one could sell is I know many people in the group probably uses that, and that's basically like a swing trading strategy where you have a 5% is your stop loss, and whenever you get like a multiple of that move, 2x or 3x move, you sell that, right? So for example, let's say I entered BDL here, and let's say when I entered here, my stop loss was low of the day, that was 4.5%, sorry, 4.9%. And if I get like 10% or like that, I will probably sell some, that's like a mathematical way of like very risk based selling in a multiple, because you know that if you do this with this kind of statistics like 40%, 30%, and have this kind of a risk reward ratio, you will ultimately have an edge mathematically. That system will give you a profitable strategy, right? So that is another way of selling. There you don't have to see ki acha strong hai ya weak hai ya something like that, right? So these are main kind of selling strategies which one can use. All right. So what I will do is I will take some questions now. Hold on. So I will not be with you guys for the next 2 weeks. I am again traveling somewhere. So I will also share with you what my strategy is with my portfolio. Okay. So central bank is not here with me right now. IRFC is also not here with me right now. So I will plan exactly how I am going to manage my rest of my trades. Okay. So Wari energy is more than 200% up from my buy price. Now I'll tell you where I entered. I entered my first entry on this Khela Hobe day, and you can see why I entered, because Mars was positive. Mars was positive. Mars, the Mars also crossed over the 9 EMA. It was everything positive. The base had a VCP T1, T2, T3, and this was a T3 VCP breakout. Remember, perfect entry. Perfect entry is your friend, right? ठीक है. It didn't go up, but again it didn't fail also. Or decent enough 10% wala stop loss would have not clipped you. And then after some point of time, we all again had this a big reversal day. I mean the pullback reversal, and I added more on this day. Okay, and after that it went parabolic, because I had like so much of cushion. I probably did not sell here, and also I didn't sell because market conditions were also not bad and all. And after that, again, it sort of went on a parabolic run, and I intend to hold this, of course, not forever, but maybe at least let it come till 20 MA or something, because from the chart I know that this is a very strong chart. This volumes which people have entered is not like just you and me, like, that definitely like big money also riding this. Okay, so that is my plan with Wari. I don't have any SL or something. I will just monitor this. Last 10 minutes, 3:20 to 3:30 is when I will open my account to monitor the trades. Okay, NISCL is my biggest position. I believe this guy still has legs, and one of my this is my alert. So whenever this guy will come here, and I will TradingView is gonna alert me wherever I am in the country. At that time, I will review the position. I'll see how the price action looks like. I'll see how the volumes are when it's pulling back, and then I will take a call. If NICL comes to 255 region, my whole trade will still be a profitable trade, because my average price is still lower than this. I bought here, 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 and some four places I bought, right? So that's my plan. And since this is my biggest holding and also my high conviction holding, I plan to manually get out, and my fucking get the fuck out zone would be this, right? This channel. If this channel breaks convincingly, I'm out. So I will not marry the stock. Ircon is already 50% क्या बोलते हैं उसको de-risked. I sold 50% on this shakeout day along with the other railway names, and again I will not be putting any SL or so, but this is my alarm. If it sort of breaches this, I will take a look, and on that day before the market ends, I'll see how the shakeout looks like or how the red day looks like, and I will get rid of this. So my strategy falls right now because these guys have become a positional trade for me, not a swing trade. So I sort of entered this I'm not sure, but somewhere here, and now it's a positional trade. So positional trade, generally I get out from the second strategy, which is selling into weakness. Selling into weakness also lets me, in case it doesn't fall, to enjoy a much larger ride, like some of the names I've been holding. Railtail also very similar. This is my zone where I will have a alert, and on that day I will take a decision. Okay, and I also have an upper alert. Railtail I think is a very strong stock, so I will try to add back more if this guy breaks out. Alberta Davis, I have two alarms here. I have right. So I have two alarms here. One is this level, and the other one is this level. I'll have a look again. I have a very large cushion here. Alberta Ma'am was also an entry on the Khelaobe day. Either on this day or on this day, possibly, I am not sure, probably on this day. And I didn't sell here. I waited for the pullback, bounced off. Could have added on here, but I did not, because somehow I don't know anything about this company. Also don't see many people talking about this is a wow stock. All those things also play psychologically in your mind. See, BSE I am holding, and this is the level. If it breaks down, there is still a possibility that it comes till here and then again goes back. But I will take a decision if it breaks down here. But this is a very strong stock. Price action wise looks really good. Has all the characteristics of a cup and handle guy. Sean Energy I will sell if it breaks this level. Okay, because after such nice pullback and after such a huge candle here today, still if it comes down, that means what? That means like kuch to hai, matlab, like but like I have like a 90 to 80% probability in my mind that Sean Energy will not break this level. But if it does, I'm gonna say goodbye to Sean Energy, right? Okay, so Jayaprakash Power. Today I sold 50% of this somewhere here, 23.1 or something like that, and that was an exit which was selling into strength, right? So why selling into strength? I'll explain you my logic a little bit. I slowly want to trim down positions where I don't have that much conviction, okay? And I don't want to give back to the market because this guy has done really well for me. Um, I entered possibly on this day, this reversal from the pullback, and I have almost 70% in this, right? It's not a very big position, but still a decent position, and given me moved my portfolio quite a bit, so I don't want to give back. And the rest now I can hold, like I can hold this, this is also नाम के पीछे power है तो थोड़ा tailwind वेलविंड है, so that's why I want to make it like a positional guy. So let's say after this it now comes back and basis for 10-20 days, I'll still hold that and possibly again add back also. Now another thing which I want to discuss is, how can you anticipate that it's a extended stock? And in this case what I did was I used Mars. Okay, so Mars is also a क्या बोलते हैं उसको, ऑसिलेटर, राइट? तो देर इज अ जीरो वैल्यू एंड ऊपर 100, मे बी 100 से ऊपर भी जाएगा एंड देन नीचे भी, लाइक दैट. सो वेन एवर दिस पीक्स अराइव, at that time you know that the top is near. Okay, so then I just saw ki acha, this was the previous top and now the previous top is approaching, right? So that was also one reason why I thought like, okay, let me sell this. I have already discussed my strategy. I somehow managed to get rid of 50% on this day when when it did not hit the lower circuit as soon as it opened, and the rest now I'm ready to let it come to 150 levels also. We'll have to see. Again, this things will change probably going forward, but for now, like that's the plan, right? Because I really believe that, like, imagine how IRFC did, making multiple bases. IREDA also might could do like something like that. IRM Energy, again, this is price action wise looks really good. This is a pattern which I know really well. Things which move in an ascending channel, and that is how I also planned my trade. This was my first entry. This was an IPO based breakout, 3 VCP 3T, T1, T2, and this 1 2 3, this 3, this was a 30 breakout happened. I entered, and then it tested the patience, came here and then bounced, right? So you remember, I entered on either on this day or on this day when the bounce happened. And again, like, I'm also ready to be very patient with this guy. यहाँ पे आके चिक 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 बेस बना के मार्च में भी अगर ये ब्रेकआउट करेगा तो आई विल ऐड बैक मोर similar quantity, and then this is sort of going to be a positional play for me, and I've made up my mind like that, unless and until, of course, like I see clear signs of distribution, then I will revise my decision. So BDL, again, today I think it is just a retest of the breakout, and I believe that it will still it still has legs. Could now form a tight area here and then eventually break out, but maybe this is the level I'm looking for to get rid of this, where I say that, okay, once if the price comes back and crosses below 1723 24ish, I'll say that, okay, this breakout has failed and I have to get out, right? So that's where I am with BDL. Protein, so from price action, I believe that this level is going to be defended. So on a 30-minute time frame, I don't know why is this like this. So on my Zerodha, this candle is somewhere here. Okay, so today it almost touched the low which it opened yesterday, but somehow there is small bit of this one. But I believe this will get pushed, and if not, I have to be very sorry and cut my positions. I will still possibly be trying. I'll still possibly not take a loss in here because my buy price is still like 4% above. The price is still 4% above the buy price. Adani Power is a stock which I am really looking forward to ride for a bigger gain. Why? Because the price action today was very good on a day which was sort of uh, which had a huge lot of selling pressure. It gave us a very nice candle, and this is basically T1, T2, possibly a T3 now, and I believe the breakout is above this. Somehow I anticipated this bounce on this day and entered here. That's an anticipation entry, anticipation of the breakout. Also because see, there are two things why you anticipate. You anticipate because you get a small enough stop loss. Okay, so imagine the entry here gives you 3% stop loss versus the entry somewhere here will give you a stop loss of 8%, right? So that is the only reason I entered in anticipation, and that is why I have to put a stop loss, rigid stop loss here, because that's the system I chose to play with, right? If I don't put a rigid stop loss here, then what's the point of me anticipating here? I anticipated because I'm gonna get a smaller stop loss. If I don't take that stop loss, then what is the use? So this is how you play into a system. You play the probabilities, right? And if Adani Power takes my stop loss, then it takes my stop loss. So this is the one where I will be keeping a rigid stop loss. And yeah, that's that. And I have one GTT buy order. I believe that is. I believe that is. Where's the other Inox green? Yeah, I believe it is here. Um, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this. I will either put it here and also put a subsequent stop loss below, um, or we'll see. So this is the only thing which I haven't decided yet. Either I'll take this out. कुछ भी हो सकता है अभी right now. But I'm very keen to get in Inox green. So this probably is gonna remain, right? So that's all I have for you guys today. I'll take questions, specific questions. uh, I will I will appreciate if those questions are regarding entry exits. I don't see this as so which one would you say is an inverse VCP? This one? This two? See, this is not an inverse VCP. This is like very common, right? So let's say, like I said today, so this is the top in Mars, and this is also very near to the top in Mars, and that's why one could have anticipated कि ये जो इतना लंबा वाला swing आया है, थोड़ा अभी यहाँ पे time लगेगा, and then the Mars will cool off, and then again possibly will go. The stock is still on an uptrend, and I would say that okay, it's basing. This is the top of the base, and this is the base of the base. Now, couple of things can happen from here. Uh, the this price action can turn out to be a very nice consolidation, accumulation heavy consolidation. Might look like a very nice flag, or a VC. I mean a VCP. It could also this consolidation might also have a slope, something like this, and then eventually break out, something like this, you know. um, till now it's okay, and it's not a reverse VCP. See, reverse, yeah, it's not a reverse VCP for now. Winda. So see, Inox Wind, possibly, let's say this was a O'Neill pivot breakout, right? And O'Neill pivot breakouts are, you have to understand this, are positional entries, okay? By default, because यहाँ पे तो in this base we did not even have a handle, right? So think about it like that, like this. Almost 50% of this cups will have a handle, right? So this could just be the start of handle building. Now, now that is why. So let's say if you'd entered here and your stop loss is, because it's a cup and handle O'Neill pivot based breakout. Um, anything, I mean, okay, I think this would have already taken out. This is already, or maybe if you had an entry like this, it would still have clipped you, right? Um, yeah, so this is just a statistics where like the trade might not have worked. Yeah, I would take an SL here. Having said that, the base still looks very promising. We'll have to see how this unfolds. My hope is that, or my anticipation is that some sort of handle like this will form here, and it'll set a pivot again, and try that can be tried again. Yeah. So yeah, first of all, I am not an expert on gap ups and EPs, okay? But having said that, and I also I know this that not all gap ups are the same, okay? So one is an earnings gap pivot, and basically stock reacts to a good positive earnings, um, uh, and and there are two there are two different EPs, like earning pivots. One is where the whole world knows that this guy is going to do a good one, ठीक है? And like sort of has some probability कि अच्छा अच्छा ये बंदा, this stock will do good, this company will do good results, and when that good results happen, then the stock gaps up, and then possibly go on to make higher highs and give you some returns. The another kind of EP is where there is bunger, like nobody knows like anything. A good example was some tech name a couple of days ago gave a like a 80 to 100% return, right? So it doesn't start here. Yes, possibly OFSS. Yeah, so this is another one. Yeah. So for example, this one possibly there was like no like nothing is happening in this place, and that's why like this was a result, but before result only like insiders sort of started accumulating, and then the confirmation came after here, and then we had a huge gap up, right? So these are two different kinds of. Yes, yes. So my point, what I'm trying to say is there are two kinds of EPs. One where is like sort of the street knows what's gonna happen, and the other one is the street doesn't know, and like it's a surprise, right? So from what the works of Pradeep Bonde, and like I closely follow him, what he says is that the surprise element वाला जो EPs होते हैं, they are very powerful. Like street is caught like अरे क्या हो गया ये, like oh, like that kind of gap ups, if you can identify. See, I don't trade them because cannot identify that, because I don't have the funda background. I don't know what was accepted and stuff like that, right? So if you're trading gap up, trade those kind of gap ups, okay? Those kind of gap up have far higher probability to reach heights than the ones where possibly Inox, possibly सबको पता था कि ये फोड़ेगा, right? Possibly today also, I think there was another name which was really good result, but market hammered it some 8% down or something. So those EPs are not a good way to play gaps. Now, technically, coming back to the technical point, which I can tell you what to do. There are three ways to enter a gap. Okay, and I'll give you an example. So as soon as a stock gaps up, and there are certain criterias here, right? So the gap itself has to be significant. तो मतलब imagine एक gap 1% का है, तो वो तो significant gap नहीं है. But if the gap is more than 1.5 time its ATR, because everyone has, right? So that means like भाई, that means like 1.5 standard deviation away वो gap किया है, मतलब like खतरनाक power मिला है इसको, that's why it gapped up. So those gaps, what you can say is like I will enter as soon as that happens, right? Because the probability is higher in your side that at the end of the day the close price will be higher than the open price, because of the fact that it was such a khatarnak gap, right? That is one way to enter. The second way to enter is when the stock breaks the gap day high. Okay, now uh, Ray from Trader Lion sort of takes this kind of entries. So for example, OFSS, as soon as the gap happens, 5 to 8% gap, huge gap with high volumes, that's entry one. Entry two is day high when it breaks. See, day high next day break kiya, but many a times what happens is that the stock price then will sort of come down, then do and then eventually breaks out, right? So whenever that breaks out, that's your second technical entry. The third technical entry is a retest entry. So again, sort of 40 to 50% of gap, although maybe strong, you deem strong, it will come back and it will probably try to test two regions. One is the gap upper boundary, which is this, and the gap lower boundary, which is this. Okay, so whenever it touches that and it is reversing, so you don't buy the dip, you buy the strength after the dip, right? So whenever that guy is reversing, that's the technical entry, gap entry 3. Okay, so depending upon again, like all of the three entries will not be suited to your psyche. Now you have to figure that out, which one is the strategy that suits you, right? Hi Sharat. Right. Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah. So now that's a question of like how are you going to manage the gap, right? Or manage the entry. Now, if you so I will believe, right? If I think about the system, the gap trading system I have, if if I enter on the gap entry one, which is basically on the day it gapped up, I will try to enter with a huge size. Why? Because one, I know that sort of this kind of gap entry will work in this stock because it's a huge TGP, like tradable gap pivot, has huge वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको strength. And if I enter with a like a decent size, let's say 20%, 25%, and then let's say now if the size is huge, what I'll do is I'll try to put a very tight stop loss, and that tight stop loss will possibly be the upper boundary of the gap. Okay, okay, and so if it closes in red, then you will take your stop loss. Now the second part about the trade management of this kind of strategy is, let's say you enter with a huge size and on the day you get like a 5% move. I will also be very fast to de-risk my position. So if I have like 10% position or 25% position, I'll sell like 40 to 50%, मतलब in 5%. तो 5% तो आ गया, no? Now, once you de-risk that position by selling at 5%, 50% of your position, now you can have a stop loss which is more than the upper gap boundary. So in that case, if you are carrying the rest 50%, then you can also choose to put a stop loss which is at the lower gap boundary. Make sense? No, no, no. So for example, let's say Oracle Finance, you took a TGP entry one, which is basically, let's say here at the open, and you got a price, right? And let's say you had a big size. Okay. Now your question is, what happens if this closes in red, right? So if your position size is huge and all, your stop loss would be very close to the open price. Okay, so you take a stop loss, basically some percent, let's say 2% stop loss. Okay, now what I'm saying is, how would you manage the trade? Okay, given the fact that you have a big position here, let's say before hitting your stop loss, the stock gave a 5% move or 10% move or whatever percent, like, doesn't matter. What you can, yes, you can de-risk it. Okay, now once you de-risk it, you can then choose to put either the tight stop loss or a little bit a stop loss with a breather, exactly. So let's say if you sold 50% here at 8%, that means even if you put a stop loss which is 8% deep below, you will still have a break even. So, make sense? Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Yeah. So, yes. Yes, good question. Thank you. Right. So I would like to invoke this famous saying called "trade your plan, plan your trade." Right. So when you get inside that trade, even before it moves to 25% in a week, you would have a certain sort of plan to how to trade this. Right. And that's where visualization comes. That's where your knowledge of the setup comes. So for example, if you are trading a high tide flag, if it goes 25%, comes back minus 4%, I'm not fretting, because I know 60% of the time this 25% in some time will probably become 50%, 60%, 80%, 100%, right? Now, depending upon what kind of a plan you have with that trade, if it is a swing trade, then 25% you should be out, right? And if it is a positional trade, then you wait for a base to form and then see if it goes out or if it breaks down the base. So if it breaks down the base, you then get out, right? So it all depends on you, Sharath, how you trade, how you plan your trade. What is your strategy? What kind of, like, where do you, like, your take profit levels, where does it fit in your trading strategy, right? So if you read yesterday, there was a PDF circulated in the group where a member had shared his trading strategy and his exit, and how his exit is curtailed to his way of strategizing, and his emotions and his sensibilities. So I will not tell you कि hey Sharath, wait man, 50% बना के ही आप you करो. If you cannot if it doesn't suit your mentality of having minus 8% from the top, then I say, like, sell into strength. You know, there is selling to strength means like you why were you waiting for that big 4% red candle? You should have sold it at 20%. If it causes you so much of emotional pain to see a minus 6 minus 4% day, then you sell it before that happens, right? With an average gain of 8%, also people can make 100% returns. You see the Sean Ryan, the David Ryan's son, his average gain this year was, I think, 6 to 8%. His average loss was somewhere around 3%, 4%. So even with that kind of statistics, you can have a triple digit year. So your trading strategy statistics should be that which sort of suits your mentality, right? Yeah, that works. Yeah, that works. That also works. Yeah. All right. Right. Yeah, yeah, it looks good. Yeah, looks good. Jagdish can't see the screen. Not my problem, I think. Um, Adani also looks good. Can you please check PFC and Biocon? All right. Before that, does anyone have a question? I see some hands raised. Shubha Brata, do you have a question, brother? Ruchi, do you have a question? Sure. What do you want? What do you want? Mm, right, this one. Okay. But you see, Electra also had a much higher peak, right? 50, and here it was 60. Yeah. I mean, there is a fair chance, fair probability of Electra hitting newer highs. Looking at its previous Mars performance, and also looking at the price action here. So tell me one thing, Ruchi. In the price action, is there anything you find which is not not to like? There is nothing, right? So why even think about it, right? So again, like your strategy of managing a trade might be different, but if something is working fine already, don't micromanage that trade. Just don't. That's my advice, right? So in Olectra, I don't find anything which is out of order. Um, yes, it can go high, but in here, what I'm seeing is there is a trend line, right? Do you see the trend line here? There is a trend line. Do you see the ट्रेंड लाइन? सो ये क्या बना रहा है अभी? हाई, लोअर हाई, ये पॉसिबल लोअर हाई है. ठीक है, तो द पॉसिबिलिटी दैट मार्स विल डू समथिंग लाइक दिस इज हाई इन माई ओपिनियन, राइट? सो दैट मीन्स दैट द मार्स यहाँ पे है, यहाँ पे आ सकता है, राइट? सो दैट मार्स एंड दिस मार्स इज अ लिटिल बिट डिफरेंट in that case, and that was also why I sold here yesterday, looking at Mars as well. Again, my decision might turn out to be, I mean, what I'm saying is, central bank can still make a very nice flag mast and break out, but I believe that this base would be a little longer and would also coincide with this Mars happening, doing like this. And when that happens, we will get back again, right? Okay, great. Thanks for the question. I will now check PFC and Biocon. PFC. So now PFC. This was, one could say, this was the base breakout, 2T base breakout, went up, and if you had your stop loss here, it would have taken out. But again, it looks like a shakeout now, because 50 DMA, you see, 50 DMA pe aate hi someone bought it. And let's check this one. Someone bought exactly at 50 DMA, and then pushed the price up, and then bought some more and pushed the price up. Now now this is this is basically a change in trend in a lower time frame. We had a low, we had a lower high, lower high, then we had a higher low. Okay, एक higher low आ गया, and then उसके बाद we had a higher high. So on a smaller time frame, PFC has reversed. We still have a decent, no, that's not a pivot. Yeah. So looks like there is a high possibility that this will again start trending up. Okay, but things like this will happen. If you ask me, Prakash, how can we not get shaken out? There is a very easy way to not get shaken out, okay? And that is to not put a stop loss. That's the only way to not get shaken out. If you put a stop loss, then there will be a non-zero probability that you will be shaken out on days like this. Biocon, this is not Biocon. Biocon. So Biocon, I thought it gave a very nice stage one base breakout, but this week's candle sort of was a very dampener. Okay, so this was a very nice base. Lots of selling. This down movement, not so much selling, and then we had buying, and then finally the price pushed above this pivot high. But then again selling came. But again, if you are a long-term investor here or like a positional player, all is not lost. Um, if you got an entry here, then the logical entry would have been the low of that day, or here, long term this one. So I would still have, I would if it is above, it still is above 50 and 200 DMA, so that's a good sign. um, so yeah, so it's still above the swing low, which is this, and I think there is a very high chance that it might base again and then trend higher up. uh, yes, Venkat. Yes, yes, sure. Mhm. Yeah, there is some selling, yeah. Exactly, exactly. So, Venkat, I am unable to completely understand your question. So, what do you mean by, uh, see, the main confirmation is price, right? I mean, you see Nifty price, and these are your levels. Um, okay, this is a very so this at this point of time, when we bounced back, we knew that we had a resistance here. That was the previous high. And right now we know that it's at a very good support. If this support breaks, we know that this point would be a great support. Um, what is the question here? I am unable to. Yeah, that is very difficult, man. That's very difficult to already say that, um, predict that okay, it's gonna do this. It's very difficult. It's whenever it is at a structural area, then you can have some predictions. For example, let's say when it was here, there was sort of a 50-50 chance that it might break out or it might go down, right? And then the moment you see a big red candle, you know that okay, this level is now rejected, and then the bias will become that okay, now that this region has rejected, um, there can be a small downtrend, and as the downtrend progresses, uh, more and more on the downside, then you have some support levels. As the support level approaches, then the probability that okay, it is going to bounce back will again increase, right? So if you ask me now, right now, what is the probability that this guy go up, I will say like very high probability that at least it is going to go and hit this area, which is 21,923, or because this is a structural level. and depending upon how it reacts here, what kind of supply and demand comes here, then we will see, okay, then we can have like a little predictive ability saying that okay, ye niche jayega, it will find support here, there, and there. um, as far as I am concerned, I don't know there is anything which can give me any predictive ability, except for the fact that, like, let's say things are cyclical even in breadth, right? So for example, if you see, um, this is something which I discussed in the early part of today's chat. So if you see that every fall, that 3.434 to 3% fall in the indices previously, in the last three times, as soon as that fall happened, then the bounce happened, and if the bounce takes the net 4% up and down above zero, then we know that there is an ensuing momentum again. And the same thing happened in January 23rd. If you remember, on 24th, when this bounce was playing, I sent a message in the group saying that, uh, short-term traders, if you want to play this bounce, today is the day, right? So this was the what I was looking at, and similar thing might also play out here, but we'll again have to see how things react on Monday. It might not repeat exactly what things are repeating, and so the predictive ability is a very short term one only, as far as I am concerned, and that's why I always wait for some sort of confirmation. And also from my experiential learning, what I have discovered is, if I try to predict and be a little clever, it doesn't turn out well for me. So yeah, it just doesn't turn out well for me, and I have analyzed my past trades also. My anticipation trades sucked, actually sucked in the sense, like, not so bad, but the breakout entries have always done better for me, at least in the bullish conditions, right? So all those trades now feeding back to my own system is what I'm trying to do, is like just react, and I'll be happy if I can do that. Right, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. See, it's pure probability that the more higher we go, the more people will be in profits, the more people will be uh, eager to take profits, right? And even for institutions who buy at lower levels, they also have to sell to make a profit. And so after some sort of run, they will also start distributing the stock. And so it's very normal to have higher volatility at the later stages of a bull run. Yeah, that's what it is. Thanks for your question, Venkat. Hi, Rahul. You have a question? Hello, Rahul. Goldiam. Uh, yeah, I mean, it looks good. It looks good. Okay, it's still in an uptrend. It hasn't even. I wouldn't say it didn't even shake out, because structurally this was the pivot low, right? A Thursday, 1st February 2024 low was the pivot low, and it didn't reach there. And so it sort of broke out, pull back inside the breakout zone, and then again now is now, going up. Uh, what I can see, let's say from Mars also, let's say this region could be a little bit of uh, वो and maybe, yeah, थोड़ा सा वो आ सकता है, and then the the bias is that it'll trend higher, right? Yes, exactly. I would say, like, say, let's say technically, the flagpole from the pivot low inside the base. So that's how people measure. Like 282 is the technical this one, and one would be somewhere here. Yeah. So so if I were holding this, my idea would be to sell 50% on strength, at a decent percentage, and the rest can be, held for a longer swing. But again, I know you have a little different strategy. So yeah. All right. You're welcome, man. Can you check BMW? Is there a stock name BMW? Wow, man. BMW. All right. So, I wouldn't take BMW for swing. You see, structurally, it doesn't have. So, okay. So, if you are so hell bent on trading this, I would trade this above this pivot because that would be like a reversal. Um, this this has a lower high and lower low. Okay. So once it has lower high and lower low in a smaller time frame, I would at least wait for it to break that structure, and that structure will be broken when price goes above this pivot 79.2. That's where I would buy it. Uh, why would you do that? And where did you enter? Where did you enter? Today's low. What is the probability that it will not go and hit the 50 DMA? Okay, let me rephrase the question, right, Sharad? Like, okay, for this trade to work, you let's say at least need a probability of price returning 50%, like 50-50, like a coin toss, right? It might go up or it might go down, right? So for you to take a trade here, you might at least have some probability which is going in the favor that okay, BMW will probably reverse from here, right? So what is that thing which sort of gave you that probability? But it's still like a lower high and lower low, man. So this is high, low, high, lower high, lower low, lower high. So for example, at least a structure like, let's say, if I will show you a couple of structures which I might have used as an anticipation entry would be, let's say, NISCL. Okay. So NISCL, um, maybe not a great example. IRFC. Not a great example. I don't have an example off the top of my head. Okay, so for example, IRM energy. Okay, so in IRM energy, what I have is, let's say today's low is still, the today's intraday low is still higher than the previous pivot low. Okay, and so then and so the probability that okay, this guy will move up and the base will look like a inverse head and shoulder base is a probably higher, and then you can say okay, I will anticipate that it's gonna move up, and then I will take sort of this move. Okay, that still makes sense to me. Whereas BMW, I just cannot get why I would think that this guy will move up and go to 79. See, had it been like this, for example, let's say, had it been like where is the thing? Fucking where is this one? So had it been like this, right? And then let's say it's here or even here, it has sort of crossed this pivot and it ended here, and this up move had a higher volume, although I know that this move had a higher volume, but we still do not have a higher pivot low or a higher pivot high, right? So probabilistically, until and unless you don't know an insider information that Monday so and so guy with big money is going to buy this, I think this is a trade. This is a setup which, if you repeat 100 times, you are going to end up losing money, right? So that's why I never take these setups, in my opinion. Okay. Sure, sure. Like, yeah, maintain a trade journal and review the trades. Hi, Shubha. You have a question? Okay, Shubha Brata left. Um, I don't see any more questions, guys. Um, yeah, yeah. Though this the same strong sectors are strong. Nothing will be reflected with just one day of low. I'm mostly interested in like oil and gas. Even renewables are probably just taking a breather, in my opinion. In my opinion, reality will again start performing, especially the names in the Nifty reality, and yeah, those are the same thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, sure, man. Thanks for your question. Hi, Shubha. Tell me. Ah, right. Yes, that's a very good idea. Hmm. 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 Yes. So again, let's put this thing into the streamlined system which we just discussed, right? So I told you that there are two ways to sell a stock. One is sell into strength, and one is sell into weakness, right? So selling into strength would have been early morning 2% gap up, and from there also it went to 4%. Okay, after the like fourth or fifth minute candle, it was 4% up. So if your plan was already to sell it into strength, given the fact that today it had earnings and stuff like that, you should have executed your sell order when it was 2% or higher. Correct? Now, now if you miss that, that's an execution problem, right? You have to understand that, you have to take responsibility of that, that it is your mistake, it is a mistake which you did in execution. Now the second way to sell that would be, people do the open range breakout, right? So they wait for the 5 minutes or 1 minute 2 minute candle, and then if it goes up above that, they buy. The same thing can also apply if you wish to sell that into weakness. So the minute the first candle, the open range, maybe it could be 5 minutes or 1 2 minutes, depends on whatever is suited to you. When it closes below that, I'm not saying spiking, but when it closes below that, that should have been your matlab, this candle, right? So for example, this is the open range ka low, 5 minutes ka low, and when you had a closing below this, that's it, you are out. So you either sell here, and selling here would say selling into strength, or you sell uh, within, ayyo, or you either sell here. That's selling into weakness, right? So if you had waited till here, you know, your stop loss would should still have been this, because this was the base. And yeah, so now the question is, see, most people, I will not say you, but like in general, people have this key acha 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 hope trade. So once you miss the perfect point there, then it many times becomes a hope trade. Oh, it made a chick wala candle, then maybe it will go up, but then you have a bigger red candle. So if 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 you are unable to click that buy sell button, when these happens, use GTT. Now your system needs to incorporate using GTT. Why? Because your system is there to save you from yourself, you from your emotions. See, I am not asking you to be emotionless. I mean, when I say you, I'm talking to everyone. I'm not asking you guys to not feel FOMO, not feel greed. Impossible, right? In fact, if you don't feel FOMO and greed, you are a psychopath. In that case, I don't want to be friends with you, right? The idea, what I'm trying to say is feel all those emotions, but develop a system which will save you from not reacting to those emotions, right? Great, great. Cheers, man. Um, okay. Any more questions, folks? If not, then we can disperse for today. And yeah, I will not be available like. Thank you, Kunal. Hindustan Copper. Hindustan Copper, sure. Let's HINDC. So again, same thing like I think PFC Rec, Hindustan Copper also had a this day. Now one can never like anticipate 100% कि ऐसा कुछ होएगा, right? Um, so again, whatever I say now would be a hindsight, but there are from the price action itself. If morning Monday morning there is a bounce, then in my opinion Hind Copper has a high chances of going up again. Okay. And in that case, what I believe that it is going to take the form of an ascending channel like this. ये होता है, ठीक है? It'll either be like this or it'll be like this, and you can see this in other stocks like MCX and stuff like that. This is a very nice price action. I mean, it's a valid price action which repeats. Now, if in Monday morning there is a huge selling, right, and the selling reverses after 5 minutes, then also I think that Hindustan Copper will reverse and make newer highs. Okay. But if the 5 minute candle is taken down with high volumes, then I believe that Hindustan Copper might stay a little bit longer and form another base. My probabilities for Hindustan Copper would be 60-65% that it is still going to go up. Okay, from the reading of the price action, because you have a nice uptrend and you don't have that much of selling here. Also metal, so metals are probably going to do well in this environment. Those are my thoughts. Uday, come again. Same chat. I didn't get you. Uday, I am unable to. Same chart. Tell me. Yeah. Target. So see, the Mars can do a couple of things, right? And this pattern you will see in a lot of other stocks, and I can show you that. So the Mars would probably look like this. Okay, so Mars will come down here, and then form a lower high, and then again come back and possibly again kiss the zero, and then eventually there will be a DTL Mars breakout. Okay, at this point there will be DTL Mars breakout, and if the anticipation is true, then what happens is this guy on the price will do like this. So this high on Mars will also correspond to a price high, and then this price will also correspond to a low in Mars here somewhere, and eventually when the breakout happens, that possibly would be the BOB breakout somewhere here. Okay, and this price pattern which I just described, I'll show you a couple of examples. Yeah, so but Mars divergence is okay, because Mars whenever it is above 0 means that the stock is a strong stock. Got it? So what the price pattern I just described playing out here. See, Man Infra putting higher highs in price but putting lower highs in Mars. Base breakout happens, a Mars breakout happens, that also coincides with this breakout. Okay. Some other example, HCC, price making higher highs. This guy Mars making not higher highs, where like sort of like this one's similar, but these highs are lower, and then at some point of time this trend line breaks out, and that also coincides with here. Numerous example of this price action playing out. Now the slope and stuff can be a little different from one another. Lower high, breakout of the DTL. This also coincided with the Khela Abe candle on IRB. KPI green is a really good example of this. Lower high, breakout, eventually breaks out of this price, right? So something similar could happen in Hindustan Copper. Yes, because Mars 0 means like your stock is outperforming the market, man. Right? And if I'll show you a very cool example. So ITC Limited, see, it started to not outperform from here. See, that's how strong Mars is. You just have to follow some very disciplined process, and in that case, this trend line breakdown was your sell signal. What happened on that signal? Mars went to 0. I mean below 0. Right? If you fail to sell there, break of 50 DMA, it's at 0, below 0. Right? If you fail to sell there, you sell somewhere here because it failed to make a newer high. If you fail to sell there, you sell when this guy was broken. This was selling into weakness for even for a positional trader, because this is a double bottom breakdown. So technical analysis helps you sort of pinpoint your exits as well. Cool, man. Thanks for your question. All right, folks, that's enough for a single day. And like I said, I will not be with you guys like this, like how I've been last 2 weeks, because I will not be able to watch the markets. But I will try to find time and update periodically. Hopefully by the time I come back in 2 weeks, markets are still okay. All right, guys, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.